Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. And I will be using this few minutes actually to talk about the importance of standards. So why standards are important. I'm sure that, along this conference, you had the opportunity to hear about, the many solutions and well, I'll bring you one step backwards and probably on as to why we value the importance of standards. And in that, certainly, I think that it's important to really recognize that standards have great ability actually to provide an overarching framework. They can really define also the priorities, and they can give the opportunity to include especially best practices and guidelines. And we have also the opportunity to use them as a tool to measure and actually provide assessment and performance. So when we really look at standards, we need to look at those tools that can really help cities, countries, and organizations to implement the necessary measures, processes, and policies which can help them to accelerate their digital transformation. Simply put, standards lay really the foundation for really best practices and can offer a way for organizations and cities to measure themselves. In that, we also see that, it's really important to look at the development standard in the overall landscape of how it's important to accelerate digital development. And at the high level, there are certainly key principles that are necessary to develop international standards. So the first principle is it has to be based on consensus. So why this important consensus? Because we really think that all views and interests are taken into consideration, and a general agreement must be had. So as my previous boss was used to say, we have to be sure that everyone in the room is equally unhappy. That will make an excellent international standards. Another key principle is that it has to provide industry-wide solutions. So standards really must provide global solutions to satisfy the needs of the market, so of the consumers, of the industries. They must be voluntary. And standardization, it's really, I think that having voluntary standard is really one of the key principles, especially when all voluntary interests are involved, all key stakeholders are involved. That gives you an idea that once the standard is approved, it is certainly embraced and implemented. It has to involve the key stakeholders. And why? Because certainly you may agree with me that there are a plethora of standards that are being developed, whether at the national level, at the industry level, at the international level. But if the right stakeholders are not in the room to develop that standard, certainly it will become one of the many standards available which are not implemented. So all these four aspects make an international standard certainly accepted and widely implemented. And in that, that brings a series of opportunities, not only for the industry, but definitely for all people, so including the policymakers, including the consumers, including the industry, including the manufacturers. So it has benefits in terms taking into consideration, for example, social and environmental benefits. Let us take a look at the many standards which are now being developed that takes into consideration energy efficiency, which in turn helps the industry also to save money and protect the planet. offer consumer protections, because certainly standards that ensure that products and services are really meeting the minimum industry best practices, so that the consumers can use them and have trust in the product that they buy. And then standards are, in general, very versatile, can be used across different markets. So that also reflects, in a way, the state of the art. So what we see, outside, and in a way, it is crystallized in the development of an international standard. And then we do have, certainly, a way also to use standards to disseminate new technologies. And in that, I think that the LoRaWAN is, just a great example. So the real benefits and why really standards are, so important. So they are really amazing numbers of reasons. But I think that first and foremost, standards, they drive competitiveness. So for individual businesses, for the world economy as a whole. So they enable really cost savings for organizations and consumers, and they also help optimize even the solutions that are all in the market. And then when, for example, various companies or industry consortia decide to bring those solutions, have them standardized at the international level, they go through a rigorous process, and that enables them actually to improve even their own solutions. Standard also, they foster interoperability and support public policy. By integrating standards into national regulations, we have seen that certainly there are great benefits in terms of policy implementation and acceleration of smartness and sustainability, for example, in cities as well as at the country level. We do also see that the benefit of ITU standards are very related to standards in general. But, why ITU standards, you might wonder? Well, first of all, I give you one good reason. ITU standards are all available for free. They are all available for free, so you don't have to pay. Government representatives, stakeholders, NGOs, anyone can use them, anyone can download them for free. Developing an international standard at the ITU requires that the process really starts in a simple way. You decide to send a contribution, that contribution contains your proposal, that proposals get discussed, it might be approved the same day of the meeting, and then the development process starts. I think that the idea of having a process which is, I would say, pretty quick compared to other standards organization for which you need, for example, to vote, for which you need to have multiple meetings, puts certainly ITU in, I would say, better place. So the idea of having ITU standards develop also ensure that they are perfectly balanced, because the members of the ITU comprises, member states, sector members, academia, small and medium enterprise. So as you can imagine, the fact that all these stakeholders, they have to interact, understand the other views, ensures that once the standards is developed, it's truly balanced. There is also a quality and a level of detail which is ensured across the process. And this allows really the development of a variety of competing, for example, implementations of interoperable products or services. So the real benefit, it's really visible. And that's the reason why we thought that actually having the opportunity to be here today was great because the collaboration we had with LoRa Alliance was truly rewarding, I think, on both sides. So let me talk about for a minute about the ITU. So the ITU is the International Telecommunication Union. It's the United Nations' oldest specialized agency responsible for ICTs. The ITU has a membership which comprises 193 member states, over 700 sector members, and then there are about 150 or a bit more of academia members. So the role of ITU is, on one side, being a UN specialized agency, but on the other side is also one of the three worldwide international standards organization, together with ISO and IC. And ITT's work has really contributed enormously to the implementation of multiple smart and sustainability standards, and most, and above all, is contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Within the ITU, there is a specific group which is called Itt Study Group 20. Itt Study Group 20, it's a standards group of about 200 to 150 experts that meet twice a year, and during the year they work mostly by electronic means. That is tasked to develop standards on Internet of Things, its applications, smart cities and communities, including digital services, IoT identification, digital health, and a variety of topics surrounding the IoT. So this group, it's really working in a very effective and efficient manner, splitting the work in a series of questions, which are really small groups where the experts meet, and depending on the different areas, so whether, for example, we're looking at the development of requirements, or whether whether an expert is interested in the development of architectures or on security specifications, then you will decide which question session you want to participate in. And obviously the same exercise was carried out also a few months ago with LoRa Alliance. So I'm very pleased actually that we started this collaboration, because it's one of the success stories where industry and UN meet together, and they have the opportunity to reach out, certainly, a global community. As you all know, LoRa Alliance has been working and has been developing a specific standards, which now became also an ITT international standard. And the way how the collaboration started, it was that LoRa Alliance decided to participate actively in ITT Study Group 20 meetings, bringing in the open standard from the very beginning. And this standard that was developed and certainly recognized widely by the industry community has demonstrated also its rapid and global adoption. Last year, actually, ITT formally recognized the LoRaWAN standard and published it as recommendation ITT 4480. So this standard, this IT standard, has shown, which you see shown on the left, sets out the standard for wide area wireless networks, and really describes a lower power protocol for wide area wireless networks, which is optimized for battery powered hand devices that may either be mobile or mounted at a fixed location. So in order to achieve this milestone, it was really, I think it was really important that on one side, the experts and the expertise from LoRa Alliance be shared also with the experts from Itt Study Group 20 in order to move this agenda forward. And the collaboration amongst these two standardization communities actually has allowed to develop and really implement these standards. Now, we see on both sides that certainly there is a strong commitment, and in that sense, we have also seen how the standard itself can be applied and used in different applications. So when, for example, we have been approached also by countries that are looking for guidance and they want, somehow they are confused by the many different offers outside, we certainly see that this is one of the standards that they can use safely as it went through an international standardized process. So it's really one of the biggest opportunity also for IoT to be used as a catalyst for social and environmental initiatives. And we see that, the various implementation of the standard itself, including in areas like water conservation, or for example, in sustainable farming, or in supply chain tracking. So including, on flood monitoring. So these, are just some of the examples how the standard itself can be used and implemented. Along with, of course, there are many, many others which I'm sure that you have been already presented and you will be presented in this today's conference. On that note, certainly we have seen that the combination of this technology into a standard and the fact that the industry has fully embraced it has made it even more powerful now that went through an international process. Along the work that it is being done in Study Group 20, that covers also different areas, and there are various standards that still related to IoT can be useful, and that some of them have been also implemented with other industry consortia. The fact that the global market imposed, in a way, the need to have standardization has also led the ITU, and in particular the study group, to create regional groups. Why they are so important? Because the regional groups, they can really gather the needs at the regional level, hence also be used as regional hubs for the implementations of standards. Study Group 20 has created 4 regional groups, which covers almost, I would say, the world. They are led by, each one has a chairman and a series of vice chairmen. And the work of the regional group is also complemented by a focus group specifically that is working on artificial intelligence and IoT for digital agriculture, and the joint coordination activity, which indeed we use actually when we would like to exchange information, either with other standards body or industry consortia. As part of the work that ITU is doing, and that is very linked once again to the implementation and use of standards, is the United for Smart Sustainable City initiative, which is an initiative that is supported by 17 UN bodies, and that is actually tasked to develop a series of deliverables on various topics, including, for example, AI in cities or enabling people-centered digital transformation, and see also how international standards can be used at the national level. Just one example of an implementation that has been carried out in over 150 cities worldwide. It's actually the implementation on a standards that explains actually or provide, I would say, city with a tool to assess their smartness and sustainability. So we also issued a series of case studies where you can see documented the entire process. But in a nutshell, that is really one example of a standard which is widely implemented and for which we have actually documented the implementation. So I think probably the next steps will be also to see if we can have case studies for the implementation of the ITU LoRaWAN standard in countries at the highest level. In doing all this effort, of course, it's important to note that IoT and other digital technologies can certainly deliver a transformative impact worldwide. And by really coupling digital transformation and cross-sector collaboration on international standards, it is possible to empower people and establish a digital community. We can make access to technology equitable, thereby driving digital equity. Equity is not equality. And I would like to emphasize that, digital equity. Responsibly also, we need to work to manage data and create a digital infrastructure which can really help countries and cities being able actually to use data in an effective and an efficient manner. And of course, the idea is to build trust by securing digital access. So in a way, build a sort of multi-stakeholder capacity. So collectively, we're really trying to help local governments and also national governments to take a multi-stakeholder approach to digital transformation. We have also developed a toolkit that, explain or in a way shows on how to use, various IoT standards, including the one that has been actually developed together with LoRa. And this toolkit, it's really a very powerful tool that supports strategizing and planning the digital transformation of cities. So we really hope that it can be used and will be used. All these resources are available for free. And certainly, I would like to take the opportunity to invite all of you to our monthly digital transformation webinars. So the next one will take place in September. And, very soon, we're going to have also a specific one that will be dedicated to explore the implementations of the ITU LoRa standards. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.